remember that there are still very sensitive issues. The wounds are very fresh, and it's difficult to speak about possible cooperation. But an ordinary citizen of Republic of Armenia can hear or watch in his, her newsfeed, in his, her daily life, many assurances about this. At the same time, an ordinary citizen of Republic of Armenia, in the very same day, can hear several threats, including threats to, again, to use the force, including threats not to acknowledge the territorial integrity, including threats which contain some claims on internationally recognized territorial integrity of Republic of Armenia from the Azerbaijani side. I don't know, on the level of member of a parliament, on the level of the media outlet strongly affiliated with the government, on the level of high officials. So there is this threat in the air. There is a choice for us, for our Azerbaijani friends, for our Georgian friends, for our Turkish friends. There is a choice to wait for another 100 or 200 years to see that the changes are irreversible, or to start a process of putting a brick and then another brick and then another brick, and in this way building a peaceful region here. Establish cooperation, I don't know, energy projects, transit projects. You touched upon the topic of the connectivity. I can also elaborate a little bit more on that. Internet cables, I don't know, tourism. There are so many ways of cooperation. And I believe Georgia can lead the region here. We can connect the two societies. Not only, I mean, the two societies of Armenia and Azerbaijan, but Georgia, but Turkey. We live in the 21st century. Again, it's a matter, and my hope is that I'm expressing this idea precisely. It's a matter of choice. You can wait for another 200 years, or you can start putting bricks and building a solid wall. We choose cooperation. But we cannot cooperate with ourselves. There should be another neighbor on the other side willing to cooperate with us as well. For instance, not to sound too, I don't know, idealistic and avoiding concrete details. I will bring an example. We just made a proposal to Azerbaijan regarding connectivity, according to which they gain access to our railway infrastructure. We gain access to their regional railway infrastructure. We understand that there is 45 kilometers in the south of Armenia, which is possibly, obviously, the shortest way to connect two parts of Azerbaijan. And we suggested to use, I don't know, modern technologies there, electronic scanners, which will allow us to avoid physical check of the goods, of the cargo, to use electronic declarations which can be sent, information which could be exchanged between respective agencies, again, allowing us to have this transit at its maximum possible speed, etc., etc. We made a very concrete proposal. No positive answer. Probably they have their grounded concerns, I don't know, but it's a matter of choice. Thank you.
Okay. I'll ask Minister Bayramov to respond to that. Any response to what this minister has said?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for your analysis. And then you raised the topic and the issue of connectivity, what can be done at this stage. And I can confirm that this is the long standing position and the elements of the foreign policy of Azerbaijan is the best way to promote the security and well-being. This is good relations with your neighbors. And of course, economic integration, I mean, from this perspective, not only transport connectivity, transit, but also energy project, electricity cables, etc. So this is something which makes you interdependent in a good sense with your neighboring countries. And this is not only, let's say, the policy as a whole. This is something which has been successfully implemented by Azerbaijan with all neighboring countries. When we talk about East-West Middle Corridor, what, for instance, Azerbaijan, Georgia, together with Turkey did, this is not something which changed the region. This is not something which was very positive for the well-being of our people and societies. This is something which changed the whole map of the region, the major oil, gas, pipeline, east-west transportation corridor. The most recent example, this is of course implementation of Southern Gas Corridor. The second stage with the finalization of which the number of countries which became the recipients of Azerbaijani gas from the Caspian Sea increased from 2 at the end of 2020 to 12 today, when on top of Georgia and Turkey, this is also 10 additional European countries. At the same time, we are quite actively expanding the north-south corridor, also with participation of Russian Federation and Iran. For all those years, due to the policy of Armenia, Armenia was out from all these projects, because I think one cannot imagine that when you have this type of conflict and occupation of your territory, you will be in a, let's say, economic engagement with the country. And of course, from the recent developments, and that's why at the beginning I said that the new opportunities finally raise with the end of the armed conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But we sincerely believe that the process should be finalized in a proper way. So this is something which has the real ground, which has the legal value, and which is irreversible. My colleague mentioned, and when you hear Minister Mիրզոյան, this is really very nice statements. And we hear many, let's say, nice statements. Minister Mիրզոյան made a reference to the recent decision of the Constitutional Court of the Republic of Armenia. And Minister Mիրզոյան, in his statements several times, said a reference to several hundred years ago. I will not be making reference to the several hundred years. I will make, several references to something which happened only after November 2020, which is the end of the Second Karabakh War. Mr. Mիրզոյան did not mention that when we talk about the importance and seriousness of this territorial claim in Armenian constitution, this is not something hypothetical. Based on this narrative, after November 2020, between the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Azerbaijan, there are many international disputes in International Court of Justice, in international arbitration bodies, etc. There are a bunch of documents very recently, in 2021, in 2022, in 2024, the Republic of Armenia continues to submit the document which, based on the same narrative which exists in the Armenian constitution, put under question territorial integrity and sovereignty of Azerbaijan. So this is the recent document. Of course, the statements, they are all good and nice, but there are more important stuff. And when Minister Mիրզոյան mentions about, some of the threats from the member of, parliaments of some NGOs, of course, in ideal world, of course, it's better, to have only the nice statements. But I believe that the more important, position representing the state should be taken into account and should be eliminated if we seriously talk about the finalization of this process, coming to the logical end. And after this, it will really open many additional opportunities for the whole region in a, let's say, holistic way. About the transportation, and Mr. Minister mentioned about some recent proposal from the Republic of Armenia with regard to the opening of the transportation tools. I just wanted to mention a couple of facts. The first, the opening of communication between Republic of, between us. It was proposal of Azerbaijan to be included in the trilateral declaration of November 2020. There is general statement about opening of communication between two countries, and there's a very specific reference about the unimpeded access from the western borders of Azerbaijan with its Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic. So because in Azerbaijan we have a unique situation, and the unique situation is that we have two parts of the country which are, separated from each other. And there are all around 40 kilometers of the, let's say, territory of Armenia. This railroad existed back in Soviet time. This railroad, by the way, back in Soviet time, was the part of the Azerbaijan Republic railroad system because it was, the very short part which was, managed by the Azerbaijani railroad system. During the negotiations in January 2021, until the active phase was until 2023, then there was some gap in the negotiations. We did many, let's say, proposals in order to resolve this situation. We agreed to separate highway part from the railroad in order to, let's say, to put on the second stage the more, let's say, complicated part for the Republic of Armenia. But notwithstanding, every time we saw some of the proposals which, from our perspective, and based on the previous agreement which we have in 2020, put under question, let's say, the reliability and stability of this. We do not want to be in the situation when we agree about something, and in 1-2 year period of time, due to some, changes in Armenian legislation, due to some, changes in Armenian power, we will face the same situation which we faced, 30 years ago when the conflict started, and, Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic become a hostage of this situation. That's why, so when we talk about from Azerbaijan to Azerbaijan, for us this is absolutely crucial, that this is unimpeded access, with all the necessary guarantees that this situation is irreversible and it does not depend on the, political or legal changes in Armenia.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Nigar Göksel, for that. We are running out of time, but I would like to get one last perspective from Minister Bochorishvili. The issue of shifting global alliances was mentioned. That is evident in the South Caucasus. We're seeing the West retreat somewhat from trying to influence affairs in the South Caucasus. We know the 3+3 dialogue being spearheaded by Russia and Turkey has been looking to fill that void. This is the dialogue involving the countries on the stage here as well as the biggest neighbors of Iran, Turkey and Russia. Under the previous administration in Georgia, they had refused to become involved in the 3+3. Might you reconsider that stance and joining?
I would refer to that format 3+2 because Georgia is not part of that format, but it is that's always referred as 3+3. Georgia is not part of this format, and we cooperate with all the neighbors except of Russia, and it has reason because Georgia's two regions remain occupied by Russian Federation, and we still have unaccepted military presence on these two regions from Russian Federation. So this is the reason where we cannot and we are not considering to be part of this format. We have only one format with Russian Federation. This is Geneva International Discussions, where Georgia and Russia are talking to each other over the conflict, and there are United States, United Nations, OSCE, European Union represented in that format, and this is a very valuable format for us that allows us to discuss conflict-related issues. Otherwise, when we talk about region and regional cooperation, we have excellent cooperation with our other neighbors, with Armenia, with Azerbaijan, with Turkey, and we have excellent examples of that good cooperation. With Turkey, with Azerbaijan, we have implemented a number of important projects throughout decades that are very important for a small region, but they are also very important for wider region. And when we're talking about kind of diversity also in the region, we have plenty of opportunities in that diversity. Like Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, maybe we are different in many terms, but we have to find, especially when it comes, for example, foreign policy priorities. For decades, Georgia is pursuing a European integration path. We want to be part of the European Union. That allowed Georgia to bring into Georgian legislation more European standards and align more with European economic area. That is also an asset that could be beneficial for whole region. And we are ready for cooperation with our neighbors in that terms as well, and to contribute to more regional cooperation and regional projects. But this is not the format of 3+3.
It's good to get that clarification. I'm afraid that does bring us to the end of this discussion. Can we please thank our distinguished guests, Ararат Mիրզոյան, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Armenia, Ceyhun Bayramov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Azerbaijan, and Marko Kotorishvili, the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Georgia. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you.